everyone. Today we your fertility specialist, and yes, I'm excited. Yeah, Dr. Ken just blew my mind while we're about to start, and you can see the smile all over. So we have that's to tell you that we have Dr. Ken with us today on this chat, and we're talking about flow and no sperm alongside fertility. I remain your host, Ruth Ogogo. As we get started, please share this link with someone, call up someone. If you need to send it to someone, do that right away. And feel free to drop your thoughts, your comments, your questions in our live session. For someone watching for the first time, you need to know a little about the content. Yes.
The sperm
Um,
specialist.
okay. I was just going to say Dr. Ken is a clown.
She's a sperm specialist.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so a little out of the box. There's no how you stay around Dr. Ken that you just don't laugh. He can't afford to see you moody. So yeah, that's just a little about his life outside medicine. So let's come to medicine. Dr. Ken is a consultant gynecologist. He's an IVF specialist. He's a minimal access surgeon. He's a reproductive biologist. Very specialist for this today. Oh yeah. So yeah, viewers, that's just a little about Dr. Ken, but he has a lot to download. So please call up someone, whether the guy is married or not. You need to call all the men down here right now. All the men in your life, ladies, please call them right away because we have very important information for them. As we get started once again, drop your thoughts, your comments, and your questions in the comment section. I'll attend to them. Dr. Ken is sperm specialist for today.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Seriously, I'm a sperm specialist, andrologist.
yeah. Okay, so we're talking about low sperm, no sperm, and fertility. Yeah, it gets me wondering. So there's a point in a man's life that there actually could be no sperm, and I'm wondering, wow. So maybe when do you say a sperm is low, or when do you say a man does not have any sperm at all?
Well, I think before I talk about this, let me talk about our real life. We in the fertility department of Alps hospitals, Okay, occasionally we see, maybe in a day we analyze sperms from 20 different men,
Okay.
And you just observe that the sperms are just not looking okay, Maybe out of the 20 men, maybe one or two are normal.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's that bad.
Yes, from the demography of the people we see, maybe one or two are normal. Then, even though our criteria of analyzing sperm is a bit strict, based on the WHO modified new criteria, but we just observe that a lot of people among the demography we analyze having very bad kind of sperms. So we ask ourselves sometimes at the end of work, I say, man, all these sperm we see today, they're not too good. Okay. How our own even look like? We just ask ourselves, so you feel like going to check what your sperms really look like. Because just see good looking men, healthy looking men apparently, but having very poor quality of sperms. And you just wonder if you see two good sperms out of 20, what is the probability that even ours are okay?
Yeah.
There's no time on earth that the sperms are having the challenges that they're having right now. That's just the truth.
Wow.
I actually don't even worry about the sperms of adults now. The sperms that the kids, this generation,
No, now we're in Gen Beta now.
Yes, okay, but we still have Gen Z as young boys, Gen Z, and Beta generation Beta.
Yeah.
I wonder what categories of sperms, what kind of sperms they're going to have, and what normal would be for them. Because, sperm what was considered normal previous years was a lot higher than what is now considered normal.
Normal.
So I
Wow.
wonder whether what was is going to be considered normal for this young generation Z and
Yeah.
generation Beta
Better.
would be, because there's a lot of lifestyle
Hmm.
that they are adopting
Wow.
that is not speaking well for the future of reproduction and fertility, for them. Because if at our stage right now, we're having a lot of problems with sperms,
Yeah.
a lot of problems with sperms. And those things that cause the problems with sperms are actually very small things,
Hmm.
minor things, things you don't consider to be very serious. Imagine like stressful lifestyle.
Wow.
How can you avoid stress in this life?
Hmm.
Life is
Yeah.
full of stress.
Yeah. True.
Life is full of stress. How can you avoid stress in this life? And then this affects sperms. We're
Hmm.
not talking about smoking yet, or alcohol,
Wow.
binging, or consumption.
Hmm.
You know, so what? That's a regular day. Maybe one day of the week, we make fun of ourselves. I say, guy, you
Hmm.
need to check. You never born Pikino. Let's check your sperm. All these sperms are things are not good. So let's go and check up if these
Hmm.
sperms are all right.
Wow.
So yeah, the sperm is undergoing a lot of attacks, lifestyle, environmental, gadget wise, and all of that. And the future is just not looking good.
Wow.
Yes. But then, for the sake of the public, the sperms is the male reproductive cell,
Hmm.
that is housed in the testicles,
Okay.
stored in the epididymis, that's the sac that stores the sperms,
Wow.
and that is what a man ejaculates. I mean,
Okay.
the cells are in the ejaculatory fluid,
Okay.
that makes fertilizes the egg and makes pregnancy to happen.
Happen.
So, and the health of the sperm affects the health of a pregnancy. Yeah.
Okay, so he's telling us about sperm. So
Mhm.
now we're back to our topic, low sperm and no sperm. And we were asking, when do you say a man has no sperm cell at all? Or when do you say they have low sperm? Because I think I hear a lot of people saying they said this man has low sperm count. And also when based on your experience, when do you say sperm is low? Or when do you say the man has no sperm at all?
Yeah. It, a man has no sperm when he has no sperms.
Oh wow.
It's simple.
And you're like, well, what's that thing coming out? Oh
You
my
know what?
goodness.
For the sake of fun, I once talked with someone,
Yeah.
and then he has a lot of ejaculatory fluid
Fluid.
that could be
Mm.
as much as 3 meals or even
Wow.
5 meals,
Hmm.
you know. And then he brought all of those for
Hmm.
analysis, and then there was nothing in it.
My goodness. When you say nothing like
And there was no
no
sperm
sperm
cells.
cell.
Usually, the
Wow.
sperm cells are microscopic, so you don't
Yeah.
see them.
Okay.
They look like
Okay.
tadpoles,
Hmm.
and all of that. You only see them with the aid of a microscope,
Microscope.
you know.
Okay. Wow.
So the fluid you see
Hmm.
is not the sperm,
Wow.
you know. They are just carrier medium where the
Okay.
sperms
I
exist
see.
in.
Oh. Oh.
So when
Oh.
you search and there is no sperms, there are no cells, those tadpole like moving stuff,
Oh yeah.
swimming
Hmm. Hmm.
around, when you don't find them in those fluid,
Yeah.
the man has no
No
sperm.
sperm. Wow.
If you find them and are not moving,
Hmm.
the man is as good as no sperms because
Wow.
they're dead,
Wow.
or they're barely good for any
Hmm.
use.
Wow.
Then they are low when the count is less than 15 million
Oh
per
wow.
meal, are
Wow.
considered to be
Wow.
low.
Okay.
When the sperms are less than 15 million per
Okay.
meal,
Hmm.
yeah, they're considered to be low.
Okay.
So when a man has no sperm, no sperms,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
can make a woman pregnant.
Wow.
When he has low sperm,
Yeah.
he could make a woman pregnant, but depending on the degree of the lowness of the sperms,
Hmm.
you know. So
Okay,
that's just the way it is.
so viewers, you've heard from Dr. Ken what low sperm count is. So it's when you hear they say low sperm count, or when they say no sperm. And he has also made us to understand something, that the fact that a man is ejaculating fluid doesn't mean that there are sperm cells inside.
Yeah, yeah.
So please, any lady in a relationship, I beg Oh yeah, justice
This
for
is
the
men under
ladies.
attack, right?
Because I've heard they said they tell ladies to go and do this test to check if their fallopian
Oh
tubes are
yeah.
patent. So now justice for the ladies, please. Let him go and check his sperm, and let's be sure we're not dealing with no sperm
No,
here.
but that's actually true because I was in a gathering
Mm,
of ladies, and then they were talking about their pre-marital life, what
okay.
men make them go through, or
Mm,
what the society makes them go through. And then they're suggesting how should they go through all of this, and the
yeah.
man doesn't even go through anything.
Any.
And with the way we see causes of infertility today, that a lot of the causes, or a very large proportion of the cause of infertility,
Yeah.
it's related to the man and then the sperms.
Mm,
They're also advocating locally
okay.
that it's okay for men to check their sperms too, because you see young, healthy looking boys,
Mm,
and having no
sperm.
sperms,
Wow.
and then it's just
Oh my
demoralizing.
goodness.
And it's one thing that it's very difficult for a man's ego to
Come
deal
to
with
terms
when he
with.
has no sperms, and it's
Yeah.
just in a new in a new relationship,
Wow.
that may eventually be needing to
To
make
marriage
babies.
and all. Mm,
So I guess they have to check
yeah.
for sake of harmony. This is not a
Mm-hmm.
recommendation from the world of science.
Mm,
It's not a recommendation from Association of Fertility Experts,
yeah.
but it is from Association of Social
Socialists.
happenings around the world that men should check.
So from the association of socialists
Hmm.
were appealing that
Yeah,
they should pass the bill.
they should pass the bill. That's true.
Oh yeah. So we're talking about low sperm and no sperm. Are there possible things that could cause or are there causes to what a man has low sperm count and then no sperm? What could be the cause?
So let me say something about the low sperms.
Mm,
So any sperm below 50 million per mil is considered to be low sperm
okay.
count. Okay,
Okay.
that's in terms of quantity now,
Mm,
considered to be low sperm count.
yeah.
Sometimes some men have just 100,000 per high power field,
Mhm.
1 million per mil, 2 million per mil, four
No.
million, six,
Wow.
7 million per mil, and all of that. The lower the count is, the more difficult it is to make a woman pregnant.
Pregnant. Mm,
And sometimes it's almost impossible to make a woman pregnant if it is so low. And then
wow.
when it is low, it is just associated with some other abnormalities,
Okay.
like problem with movement of the sperms. That's
Mm.
what they call motility of the
Oh
sperms,
wow.
and
Okay.
the morphology, the way the sperm looks.
Yeah.
The sperm has a regular head
Mm.
that looks oblong,
Okay.
ovoid or something.
Okay.
Then it has the neck.
Okay.
It has the body, it has a tail.
So I'm picturing what the sperm
It
looks
looks like
like
a
now.
tadpole, exactly. It looks like a tadpole.
Mm. Mm.
The head, the neck, the
Oh wow.
body, the
Okay.
tail.
Mm.
So, and each of this part of the sperm
Yeah.
has a normal configuration. So
Okay.
when the configuration, maybe instead of the head looking as roundish and oblong as it should look,
Yeah.
it looks round with a tapered head.
Wow.
That's
Hmm.
abnormality already. Then
Yeah.
some necks may look square like.
Oh, wow.
It's a problem already. Then some have no tail.
Wow. You could see a lot.
That's abnormal. Then some
Wow.
of the sperms have two heads.
Hmm. Oh, oh
Those are the
my
kind of sperm that
goodness.
makes monsters.
Goodness.
And
Wow.
sometimes you hear the andrologist say, "Oh, come, these sperms have two necks,
Hmm.
two
Wow.
heads."
Wow.
These are all kinds of abnormalities that may be
Hmm.
associated with low sperm count.
Yeah.
But it's also good to mention that even when you have normal counts, you would also have some abnormal looking sperms.
Okay. Okay.
But the more disease conditions or stressful life conditions you are exposed to, or medical conditions you're exposed to, the
Yeah.
more likelihood of having abnormal sperms and
Okay.
low level of
Hmm.
sperms. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, those are some things about sperms.
Okay.
So when the sperms are low, it could be in various degrees,
Hmm.
and the lower it is, the more difficult it is to achieve pregnancy.
Pregnancy.
And then, for those of us in IVF, for instance, people believe that when they come for IVF, their problems are
Automatic.
solved, and that has the last result. Because it's the
Hmm.
last result, it should
It
give
should
the
work.
last result, it should
Hmm.
work. But then that's the disappointment, that's a big disappointing expectation. Because if
Hmm.
the sperms are also not good, no matter how low they are, We know when they are low, they don't achieve fertilization by intercourse. We can make fertilization happen no matter how low it is by IVF.
Yeah.
But the sperms need to be good to make for pregnancies. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's to say, if you use a poor sperm or a bad sperm for IVF,
Yeah.
the likelihood of failing is also high. And
Mm.
so when you hear fertility specialists say, okay, no matter how much sperms are, you can use them to treat, it's okay, you can use them to treat,
Mm.
but you may not achieve results
Wow.
with such. So
Mm.
if sperms are poor, you
Yeah.
expect poor outcome also, because
Wow.
those physical abnormalities or movement abnormalities with
Yeah.
sperms
Yeah.
don't just end in the physical quality.
Mm.
Sometimes they are deeper than what the
Okay.
eyes see. They
Wow.
go deep into the genes,
Okay.
genetic combination, or the chromosomes, or the
Wow.
genes of the sperms,
Mm.
or the DNA of the sperms. And these are things you also don't analyze when you are looking at regular analysis of sperms.
Sperm. Mm.
They could look normal, but the DNA in the sperms may have been
Mm.
fragmented. And so
Wow.
you achieve fertilization, you even have good embryos to
Mm.
transfer, but then you still don't have pregnancies happening.
Pregnancy. Oh
But
no.
because detailed analysis is not done by many fertility centers, you really don't know. You say, ah, but we put in good embryos. Who told you these
Mm.
embryos are good? And that is why most embryos do not become
Achieve
pregnant.
pregnancy. Wow.
More embryos end up not becoming pregnant than
Then
embryos that become pregnant. And the
pregnant.
simple reason for this could be related to the eggs, but it could also be related to the sperms.
Sperm.
Yeah, so
Wow.
those are all the things.
Okay, so
That's the lining of the womb and other things can happen, but
yeah,
we're talking with respect to the sperms.
sperm.
But
Mm.
yeah, so
Okay, so now let's get back to the causes of low sperm count and and no sperm at all. Yeah, so let's know what are possible causes. What could actually cause someone to have a low sperm count, or what could be the cause for someone saying, okay, no sperm and they are really releasing fluid and we're wondering what's happening.
call them empty bullets, right? All right, now let's start from the healthy cause of no sperms.
Mm,
When a man has a vasectomy, for instance,
okay.
when the sperm ducts are cut,
Yeah.
disconnected for family planning, as
Yeah.
you have commonly in Europe, in
Yeah.
China,
Mm,
when they're having very strict fertility control,
yeah.
you know, his body may be producing sperms, but if he ejaculates, he wouldn't see sperms in those
Mm,
ejaculates.
okay. Okay.
So this is medical reasons now, or
Mm,
family planning reasons.
yeah.
Vasectomy for men will make men to have no sperms,
Wow.
but this is voluntary.
Mm,
So he won't be able to make a woman pregnant
pregnant.
because he has done a permanent family planning. So if he has to get a woman pregnant, he
Has
has
to
to get
get.
sperms from the testicles or from the storehouse of the sperms, which is the
Mm,
epididymis.
yeah.
So that's one normal cause of
Okay.
no
No
sperm.
sperm. Okay.
So the others are usually maybe infection, for instance.
Okay. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
all those sexually transmitted infections, for instance,
Yeah.
could go far
Oh wow.
and damage the epididymis,
Mm,
can block the sperm duct.
mm,
The work of the sperm duct is to conduct sperm from the storehouse epididymis to the urethra,
urethral.
where
Okay.
it's ejaculated, either
Mm,
outside into a container or
yeah.
into the vagina.
Yeah.
So if the sperm ducts are blocked by infection or even inflammation,
Mm,
it makes it difficult. I mean, there is no way sperms can be ejaculated outside the body.
mm.
And so you could also see no sperms, you know. So these are different level of analysis that will be done when somebody has no
No
sperms.
sperm.
Sometimes it could be a genetic programming.
Okay.
There's a genetic conditions where people don't produce sperms, or they
Wow.
produce sperm for some time, and
Hmm.
then uh, the process goes haywire and there are no sperms after
Wow.
certain times. Because
Hmm.
we've seen families, for instance, where the father has problems with sperms,
Hmm.
he managed to have kids, they all have problems with sperms, and they
Wow.
all have infertility and
Hmm.
all of that.
Wow.
Sometimes you see all boys in the families have no good sperms to make a woman pregnant. These are usually
Wow.
genetics.
Hmm.
And then occasionally you see such in twins, identical twins having same problem,
Hmm.
poor sperms or no
Wow.
sperms.
Hmm.
So some genetic conditions that are inherited
Yeah.
could make abnormality with
Sperm.
sperms. So aside from infection, you could have some medications too.
Oh wow.
There are medications that people consume that
Mm.
affect their prospect of producing sperms.
Okay.
If you go to sports, for instance, maybe like high energy demanding sports, for instance,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
tempt the guys into using steroids,
Wow.
you know, either for energy, for
Mm.
muscle mass building, and all of that.
Yes. Yeah.
So some of the steroids affect the process of sperm production, and
Wow.
so it could make a man has no sperms or has low
Low
sperms,
sperm. Wow.
depending on the level of affectation of those medications.
Mm.
Then you have cancer medications,
Okay.
chemotherapy, for
Mm.
instance. So, and for us, when we hear that people are undergoing cancer treatment,
Treatment.
we always want to work out modality of preserving their fertility. And
Fertility.
most doctors actually do that if they have the means to doing that. It's either they get the sperm cells to store somewhere,
Mm.
because if it's chemotherapy, it's going to affect every part
Destroy.
of the body.
Mm.
It's going to affect the tongue, affect the stomach, affect the intestine. That's why they have diarrhea, affects the hair, rapidly
Mm.
growing cells,
Mm.
take out all the hair, affect the skin coloration,
Wow.
affects the sperms too.
Mm.
And then they may not recover to even start producing sperm after all of
Sperm.
that. So
Mm.
medications. And then most interesting for me as a fertility specialist is that sometimes, people who come for fertility care are usually advanced age.
Mm.
From 30 above, guys are already exposed to hypertension,
Mm.
and a good
Wow.
number of the medications used for treatment or control of hypertension have
Yeah.
effect on the sperms.
Wow.
Yes, so they have effect on sperms.
Mm.
You know, they affect the process of sperm development. Some of them, not all, some
Okay.
affect. So it's good to check. A young guy or a middle-aged man may just be on antihypertensive that has negative effect on sperms.
Mm.
So it can make the sperms low. In addition to that, it could make the sperms poorly viable.
Wow.
So it can reduce your chance of making a baby or getting pregnant.
Pregnant.
So the
Wow.
causes are many.
Many
Then,
I can see.
if we go down to agriculture,
Mm.
you know, the agro-allied chemicals, for instance, have a lot of problems they cause to the environment
Okay.
and they cause to the human body. But because you think they are beneficial in growing crops or protecting the crops and livestock, you don't see how badly they affect the cells in the human body. They
Yeah.
affect sperms.
Mm.
You know, they are volatile organic compound
Mm.
largely, and
Wow.
guys who get exposed to them may
Mm.
be affected at different level. And
Yes. Wow.
depending on our DNA and the
Yeah.
genes we have,
Mm.
things affect us differently.
Differently.
So
True.
it may not affect some people, but
Yeah.
it affects some other
Some.
people.
True.
You understand?
True.
And then it damages the sperms and makes the
Mm.
sperm incapable of making woman pregnant. It can
Pregnant. Wow.
give the man a low sperm count,
Mm.
or low, I mean, no sperms at all, and
Wow.
all of that. I've seen a guy that's worked in an agro-allied company. All he
Okay.
does is to transport chemicals from the factory
Mm.
to the end users. He
Okay.
has no other risk factors,
Mm.
and then he is azoospermic,
My
no
goodness.
sperms at all. And
Oh my
not only
God.
him, a lot of people in that line had
Wow.
problems with sperm affectations.
Mm. That's so
So
sad.
those are some of those things that could cause. There are quite many. Then if you go to the regular disease conditions, diabetes, for instance,
Mm.
a lot of guys are diabetic,
Oh wow.
and then these are disease conditions that people refuse to treat
Mm.
for fear of whatever they are afraid of.
They
I don't
don't even
know.
accept
They
it
don't
to
even
begin
accept
with.
it. Say
Yeah.
nobody is diabetic in my house. So where are you coming from?
Oh God.
The same thing
I
with
reject it.
hypertension.
It's not my
Oh yeah, the
portion.
Africans always reject everything. They reject everything. Somebody doesn't have something, he said he has it. If somebody has a disease condition and it's been diagnosed, he said no, it's because he didn't sleep well.
Mm,
I'll go
yeah.
sleep because when I sleep and wake up, and the hypertension will be gone.
May
No,
God help him to sleep and wake up. That's if he sleeps to wake up.
the sleep sometimes will be the ladder to pass into the great beyond.
Yeah. Mm.
And then when they have it, they also refuse to treat it. Now, when you treat hypertension with some medications, you have sperm problems. And when you don't treat hypertension,
Wow.
you also have sperm problem, because elevated blood pressure affects the quality of
Sperm.
sperms.
Wow.
You know, so diabetes does, abnormal thyroid abnormalities
Okay.
does. So
There are
abnormal
numerous.
eating
Okay. So
causes
maybe now
sperm
we should talk about
problem.
lifestyle.
Obesity, men with very thick waists, for instance.
He
I don't know
says
if
thick
that's what
waist.
I should call it. They have very big waists. Is
Yeah.
it big waists?
Whichever way, they understand what you are describing.
Those waists that belt doesn't go around.
Mm. Those men that look like they have hips.
Is it hips? No. They usually look as if they don't have hips.
Hips. Okay. Mm.
Because they are bigger here.
Their tummy are
Tummy
extending.
it's everywhere. Then they
Yeah.
are from the waist down
The
is
back is
slim.
now joined with.
Exactly. They could have good sperms, but when the body mass index and the waist hip ratio is abnormal, it affects the sperms for
Mm.
some people, not everyone. So quite a lot,
So maybe now you're
just
talking
quite, just
about
quite a
lifestyle. Maybe you
lot.
should tell us some more lifestyles that could
Of course,
actually
smoking
impact.
does, alcoholism does.
Mm.
You know,
Wow.
yeah, smoking does, alcoholism, then stress,
I
just
was. I
stress.
know you mentioned gadgets use.
Yeah, that's where I'm beginning to be worried
Mhm.
about the kids we have right now.
Mm.
Um, I think I've said these stories before. I was we just watched a research with my son,
Okay.
and then we went to. I was getting ready to take him to school,
Oh,
so he
okay.
requested for me to make tea for him,
I
and so we went to
remember.
the kitchen to make tea for him
Mm.
to have before going to school. And then, while we're in a hurry, I just quickly slid
Slip
the
the
phone
phone.
into the pocket, and my son went shouting, "Daddy, Daddy!" I was like an emergency. For some split seconds, I was confused.
Mhm.
I looked at him. I said, "Jeff, what's the problem?" He said,
Mhm.
"Your phone." What about my phone? It's in your pocket. It's in your pocket. I was like,
Oh
"Come on,
my
man."
goodness.
And quickly remember that we just watched
It's
a
the
research
research.
where
Oh, wow.
electronics
Mm.
and phones were analyzed with the way they affect the cells in the human body, and then it's been
Mm.
linked to low sperm count. So he was
Wow.
worried that I was doing something that will affect my sperms.
So he's hoping for a baby brother.
So when I saw it, I looked at him. I said, "Wow, you means you understood all these things you're learning?
Yeah.
That's fine, yeah." So now you see, we guys carry phones in the pocket a lot, and
That's
nobody
true.
tells us,
Mm.
and the manufacturers wouldn't tell you that
Mm.
these things affect the life of our sperm cells.
Even the laptop that they
You know.
put like
Then I
this.
have read some of the laptops
Mm.
too. I've read a research work paper publication in Fertility and Sterility, which is like the biggest renowned journal of reproduction in America.
Yeah.
I still have the papers though.
Okay.
Studies were done with men putting phone in the pocket and those
Mm.
without phone in the pocket,
Yeah.
and that arm having the phone in the pocket have abnormal sperms.
Wow.
So all of those things, we may not stop all these things. It may be difficult to stop it, but it's good to know that it
Mm.
affects sperms.
Mhm.
So these are all the lifestyles that affect. And then today, almost every boy, little child, plays with his parents' phones. And
Mm.
then I think parents should also be wise to always put the phone off signal, or put
Mm.
it in a child mode before
Mood.
giving to the kids.
Mm.
Otherwise, you're going to grow a generation of boys that have problems making their future wives pregnant.
Mm.
And that's going to be a big challenge for the world demography and population. So that's why I talked about the generation beta and Gen Z
Yeah.
boys, who are the tech generation, as he
Yeah.
said,
And I
they need to
remember
be
you
careful.
mentioned about plastics.
Oh
Something about
yeah, yeah,
plastics.
yeah. Plastic does that a lot.
Mm. Mm.
Plastics.
This
Exactly.
part of the world.
Oh yeah, plastics. Plastics is very terrible.
Wow.
Plastics is terrible. I admire the Europeans, for instance.
Mm.
Some European countries, you pay a fine for buying
Okay.
plastics.
Wow. Mm.
When I was in India too, anytime we request for plastics, I mean, in the form of polythene bags and all of
Yeah.
that, you pay extra. All of
Wow.
this is just attempt
To
to
discourage
discourage you from
people.
using plastics,
Mm.
because plastics are not biodegradable, and
Mm.
then when they are consumed, in their elements, in little chips of elements.
Yeah.
They stay in the body, they are
Hmm.
estrogen like, they affect the
Wow.
process of gamete
Formation.
development
Wow.
and all of that, and so they cause infertility. But in addition to the infertility, they cause abnormalities in babies. It's been
Wow.
traced
Hmm.
linked to autism. And
Hmm.
when I was a kid, for instance, even though medicine wasn't this advanced, uh, autism wasn't very
Like
rampant, but now
it's
you hardly will look around any corner without seeing
a
kids with
child.
autistic babies.
Wow.
It's a lifestyle. And sometimes you can't help this consuming the plastics because you could only help if you know you're consuming it. But there
Hmm.
are times you don't even know you're consuming them. For
Hmm.
instance, a lot I like fish a lot. And
Hmm.
most of the fish grown in Africa, I believe they eat plastics
Hmm.
because plastics end up in the
The
African rivers.
rivers.
And
True.
as you watch the Europeans, for instance, they have vessels in big water bodies
Keep
that
all of
clear
them.
past plastics. You think
Hmm.
they're wasting time. No, they're not wasting time. They're saving the future generation.
Hmm.
So plastic needs to be properly used, properly discarded, and recycled if you have to. But we should really watch the way we consume plastics.
So Dr.
So it affects sperms.
Hmm.
Yeah, in a
So
nutshell.
for our dear viewers watching, Dr. Ken has actually the Alps Hospital has a video on the impact of plastic on your fertility. So you could
It
also
affects
check
the
back.
eggs, not just
Okay.
sperms. Even
Yeah.
though we're talking about sperms, it affects
Yeah.
eggs, affects conception.
Mm.
It can make an IVF fail. It can make pregnancy difficult to be
Oh
achieved.
wow.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot about plastic. So
A lot
like I
about
was
plastics.
saying, you could actually check, you could just search for these videos and then you would have a very good understanding of the impact of plastic on your fertility.
I don't have a plastic wristwatch.
Oh,
Yes, it
and
just.
we see
I'm
that a
looking
lot.
at your wristwatch. It's also not plastic. Is it intentional?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so please let's
My strap is an inert
yeah.
material. Mhm.
So please let's as much as possible reduce the use of plastic to the barest minimum. So now we've talked a lot about the causes of low sperm and
No sperm.
no sperm
Hmm.
exactly. So what's the solution we're preferring to them? Because after all, we're talking about their fertility.
Yeah.
For someone, yeah, and then for our dear viewers, you might have been you're already in the category of someone that has a low sperm count. Yeah, the fact that you see us having some funny talks about it, it's actually not a funny matter. It's something that is really of concern, and that's what we're talking about it today. So that's why we also want you to see possible ways that you could be helped, just in case you're already having this issue. And for someone that is not even aware of it, it's good that you actually go check yourself in a very good fertility hospital like Alps hospitals, so you're able to get good understanding of what you're dealing with before the time comes, just in case you're not considering
Hmm.
having the baby now we're going to talk about how we can prefer solution to you for someone that is already having this low sperm count and no sperm. What's the hope for them, or how can they achieve pregnancy with this issue of low sperm and no sperm?
I haven't finished talking about the dooms of sperms.
Oh goodness.
Yes,
Let's get this out for you for
it's no,
today.
it's very serious.
Hmm.
Early last year, I think there was a study from Kent University.
Okay.
It's a very big study that was done on sperms,
Hmm.
and what was observed was that the character, the sperm has a Y chromosome and the X chromosome. So now the Y chromosomes, a lot of deletions are happening on the Y character, and then that is what makes men give birth to men. So now
Hmm.
this deletion seems to be progressing,
Wow.
and every time, every year, this keeps happening.
Hmm.
It ended up with another arm of science that
Hmm.
is working on preservation of the Y chromosomes.
Wow.
Yes, and we see this a lot. Now, it is said, still in the science finding,
Yeah.
that most miscarriages are males.
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
and this because a lot of abnormality is happening with
With
the
the
Y
male.
arm of the
Hmm.
chromosomes. And so men should be worried when miscarriages happen. So
Okay.
it's not a very good looking future for males, but then I think the whole world needs to work together to protect every gender.
Hmm.
Why the women seem to be the toughest breed is what I don't understand. With respect to
Oh.
reproduction,
Hmm.
anyways. Yeah, so I think we need to do a lot to protect the sperms.
Hmm.
Live healthy, wear healthy things, apply healthy makeups.
Okay.
Eat healthy,
Hmm.
do a lot of exercises, and treat disease conditions.
Hmm.
Yeah, and if cancer happens, fertility preservation should be embarked on before treatment of cancer, except of course if fertility is not of concern in the individual having such this cancer abnormality. So yeah, so that's a very bad news about the sperms. And
Yeah.
for all people, why you even know it's bad is this: some decades ago, what was assumed or accepted to be normal sperm
Normal.
was 20 million and above.
Okay. Oh wow.
Now, not too recently, but let me use the word recently, it came down to 15.
Hmm.
But before 20, it was beyond 20. That was normal. So now we are down to 15.
Hmm.
We may get down to 10.
Oh,
And then who knows what the next generation
would I
would
have
be acceptable. I mean, will be acceptable in next generation as normal.
normal?
But these are all reflection that the count is
It's
going down,
depreciating.
is depreciating, and we
Yeah.
don't know where we're going.
Hmm.
So those are some of those things. Yeah.
Okay. So let's pour hope.
You're talking about
Yeah.
the
So let's
solution.
let's pour hope for them, and let's let them know possible ways they could achieve pregnancy.
Let me start with those who have problems already. The problems are staring them in the face.
Hmm.
you know um Now, some men go to the hospital and they are diagnosed with low sperm count.
Hmm.
Usually they reject it. I think stop rejecting it,
Hmm.
accept it and look for solution. Then when
Hmm.
you have low sperm counts, most people just ask you, give us medications to grow back these sperms, as if the medications are fertilizers and all of that. The best that these medications do is to reduce oxidative radicals
Hmm.
and make the remaining sperms you have healthy.
Healthy.
So I feel the populace should learn how to make decision about their fertility.
Hmm.
When you're diagnosed with low sperm counts and the cause is not very obvious, I think it's good to be very drastic
Okay.
with your decision and do the best form of treatment that is recommended by the doctor. It may be an IUI, intrauterine insemination,
Okay.
but for most people, IVF. So some guys will like, let me go and eat well,
Hmm.
let me take some medications and all of that. And then they come back subsequently, the sperms
It's
have deteriorated the more.
okay. Oh wow.
Some of these things are genetic. And once the gene has been triggered for the abnormality,
Yeah.
it becomes progressive. Today is 10 million, tomorrow is 8 million, another
Hmm.
day is 6 million, then 5 million. Then you get to a point where you have nothing.
Hmm.
You understand? Then you start regretting, I wish I had done this when I was asked. And then you'll be left with the option of having to use donor sperms.
Hmm.
So I think
Wow.
people should learn to take their fertility decisions very drastic and be very serious about that.
Hmm.
So do the treatment as quickly as possible, because
Hmm.
to a large extent, they will not get better.
Better.
They may
Hmm.
just not get better. So that's just it. So the solution is you will have to do whatever it takes to preserve your sperms. If you're not married yet, freeze what you have. I mean, cryopreserve what you have,
Hmm.
and use them when they're necessary. Otherwise, you may just get to the point where you need to use your sperms to make babies, and then you're told that you need donor sperms, and then it makes your problems difficult, because now some people haven't yet accepted IVF,
Hmm.
and now you're throwing the challenges of having to use a donated
Donor sperm.
sperms. But if that becomes the option, still accept it and go with it. So that's just what I have to say.
So are there times that you people could do surgical removal of sperm for someone that is not able, maybe you people have seen that it's because of a blockage that there's no sperm. and the person could achieve pregnancy
Oh
when the
yeah,
sperm.
yes.
Oh
So we
wow.
do that a lot of times.
Okay.
When an individual has no sperm, we first of all want to establish
Mm.
why he has no sperms.
Mm.
If it's a functional reason, as in his body has been triggered not to have sperms,
Yeah.
it's different. But if his body is producing sperms, but the sperms are not ejaculated,
Yeah.
because of some blockages, then we could do a surgical extraction of
Okay.
sperms,
Mm.
and then we use them for fertility treatment.
Mm.
And then if you're doing surgical extraction of sperms, then it's IVF, definitely. So yes. So for those who have no sperms, it's good to clarify with your physician
Physician.
what kind of abnormality, whether it's
Mm.
obstructive or functional. If
Mm.
it's obstructive, could get sperm from surgical extraction,
Mm.
and then do an IVF with it.
Yeah, are there times, because I think I've heard about this. I don't know if it's varicocele you call. Are there times that it could impact on sperm for the
Oh
male?
yeah, varicocele. Yes, the knowledge about varicocele is just expanding.
Hmm.
Initially, it wasn't taken seriously.
Okay.
But varicoceles increase heat to the sperms
Okay.
because it causes stasis
Hmm.
of blood flow around the testicles, and then
Yeah.
heat stays with the sperms,
Hmm.
and then the sperms are sensitive to temperature, and
Hmm.
the DNA in the head of the sperms may be denatured. So you could have a lot of sperms with varicoceles, and then they are not functional. So what is recommended right now is that if a varicocele is found in anyone having
Hmm.
challenges with
Yes.
pregnancy or going for a fertility treatment, it's advisable to take out the varicose veins,
Varicocele. Hmm.
so that the sperms could grow in a healthy environment.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you could have many sperms, I mean, a lot of sperms, but still has some difficulty achieving pregnancy, or
Pregnancy.
you achieve pregnancy and you have a miscarriage,
Hmm.
because if the DNA in the head of the sperms are fragmented, then pregnancy becomes, and heat and all
Hmm.
the metabolites
Hmm.
that
Wow.
the varicocele leaves around the sperms
Yeah.
affect the health of the sperm. It reduces the quality and function of a sperm. So it's recommended to be removed.
So, viewers, I know you would agree with me that there's just a lot about sperm that we cannot exhaust
Those
just on
tiny
one
things that you don't
sitting.
see has a lot about them.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. So, Dr. Ken has said a lot. Like, I'm sure if we say we should continue, he will just keep analyzing and analyzing, and it will be never ending. But at this point, we would have to bring the show to a close, so you're also able to engage in other activities. Keep your questions coming in. We'll definitely attend to them. You could also drop a DM on the number being displayed at the screen. Dr. Ken, I don't know if you have anything to say to the men as a final word before we wrap up.
I'm a man too. So when I have to talk about sperms, it's like I'm talking to myself, and I'm talking to all the guys that are related to me, talking
Mm,
to my son, and all of that. So it's a very personal thing, and
yeah.
knowing the fact again that I live in a world of sperm abnormalities. I mean, my
Mm,
daily life has to do with something about sperms.
yeah.
And most times you hear the andrologist telling me that, come Ken, these sperms are not looking good. These
Mm,
sperms are not looking good. And these
mm,
sperms are not moving.
mm.
Let's do
Wow.
flicking tests to see that they move.
Mm,
All the things you do to see
wow.
that you can get healthy sperms to use. So I think men should take this in a bit seriously,
Mm,
and the young boys should protect the sperms, their sperms,
yeah.
and use the sperm wisely,
Mm. Oh yeah, that's please do use the sperm wisely for me.
whatever that
Oh.
means to you.
Oh yeah. So, dear viewers, it's been amazing having you guys stay with us till this time. Thank you, Dr. Ken, for being with us today. It was
Sperm
really good.
specialist, right?
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
it was really good having you
I
talk
love
about
sperms.
sperm.
I really love them.
You're a product of sperm.
Maybe some days we'll talk about how we can generate sperms from the woman's body.
Oh, okay. I'll look forward to that day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, dear viewers, thank you once again for staying tuned. Continue to stay tuned because we have a lot coming your way. I remain your host, Ruth Ogogo. Have a lovely evening. Bye.